So am I. But I have a secret for you. LA is one of the best places to reinvent yourself. From the beach to downtown in the mountains and everything in between. Parenting advice? You can come to me. Dating advice? I'm doing a lot of that in this city. So join me. I'm Marissa as we traverse this incredible city and intentionally rediscover and create Life 2.0. By my good friend, Natasha, my co-producer, my good friend. We have lots to catch up on. We have a great show for you this morning. We came in hard. It's Tuesday, March 28th. I cannot believe we're almost in April.
I know, I can't believe that
It's
either.
like crazy. This year is just like flying by.
It's
flying
April.
by, yeah.
It's
Which is, I guess, I don't know, maybe a good thing depending
crazy.
depending on how you want to look at it.
No, I'm not ready yet.
You're not ready. You're what? You're
not ready yet.
Not ready for April? No, I know. It's crazy. Yeah, because with April comes like tax season, which we're gonna get into.
Yeah.
Fine. And like spring break, and then it's like the end of the school year, and then it's like summer, and then before you know it, it's like fall and winter again. It's just flying by. It's so fast. Yeah. So we have so much to catch up on. We have a really fun show today. We are going to do the dating project update.
We haven't done an update.
I know it's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while.
We've got a lot of things to update on. I'm still waiting to hear about that date you had weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah. That was a fun one. That was interesting. So okay, so I'll tell you about that. We'll just jump right in. So. And I had told you, you were like, you wanted the details. And I was like, I think I just need to tell you on air so that I can get your reactions, or it's really so that you can see Natasha's reactions. So anyways, right. So I had been talking to this guy for about a month, and we met, honestly, I'd have to go back and look in my notes. I have my notes right here. I could look if we wanted. I've got all my notes in here. But yeah, so we started talking a while ago, and just because, like, due to like his schedule, my schedule, things that were going on in our lives, we just never like had a chance to meet. But we were talking kind of sporadically. So we finally were able to like meet for, and you know my rule, a drink or coffee.
Oh, coffee.
That is it. Like the first time. And if either of those turns into something more, fine. But like, you know, that's where I start. So anyways, so we met for what I thought was going to be a drink, and I walked in, and he was sitting at the bar, but he like stood up to greet me, which was really sweet, and you know, gave me a hug, and he said, I have a table.
So I don't know about that. Like, I've never met the person.
Yeah.
Don't hug me. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, interesting. It didn't bother me. I think if I had not been talking to him, we had been talking off and on for like a month, so, and had tried to like make plans. So I think I wasn't Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. They're definitely, like, thinking about it now, there's a part of me where I'm like,
physical touch is one of my main love languages.
And you still
I do not like people in my personal space until you give you permission to be in my space.
Yeah, no, I get that. I totally get that. It didn't bother me so much, but I could see how it could bother me. But it didn't bother me so much. But, you know, like, immediately pictures not totally you know, like,
you've got to say, I'm sorry, I'm not sticking around.
Well, it wasn't egregious, okay? So he was like shorter than I thought he was gonna be. He had like a smaller frame. Like, he looked like kind of like bigger in the pictures, which fine, whatever, not that big of a deal. I'm petite, so it doesn't really matter. So anyways, but here's what happened. So he immediately said, you know, I thought we were going to sit there at the bar for like an hour max. And he was like, no, I got a table for us. And I was like, ugh, in my mind, I was like, ugh.
Okay, but then you also need to say, I thought we were just having a drink. I would prefer to just have a drink.
I know. I totally should have.
Use your voice.
I know. I need Natasha in my, I know. So, but in my defense, I was hungry. You guys know how I am when I'm hungry.
Poor choices get made when you're hungry.
Totally. Poor choices get made when I'm hungry. Totally. So I was hungry. So I was like, whatever. It'll be like a fast dinner. I met him. It was early. Like, I met him on the early side-ish, if I remember correctly.
Well, I remember when this happened, when this whole thing went down, and you texted me and you were like, you just got home. I was like, holy cow, that was a long day.
Yeah, it was a long day. It ended up being a long date, much to my chagrin. So anyway, so we got a table, we ordered drinks, then he was like, you know, what do you like, whatever. We ended up ordering our food, which was a funny story in and of itself, but whatever, we don't need to go into it, just because, you know, individual likes and changing things at the last minute and all the questions that we had, you know, so typical, like when Harry met Sally, LA, yeah, totally. What? Like, I had like 3 questions for the waiter, then he had like 2 questions, and then I ordered something, but I changed like 3 things in it, and then he ordered something different than what he told me he was gonna order, which we were gonna share, and then that threw me off, and so then I ended up ordering something else because I wanted something. I mean, it was like a whole thing.
But you know what I think? I think we just need a restaurant with suggestions, and then you can combine.
Just combine, totally. No, totally, for sure. No, I mean, it was like, the waiter was amazing. It was comical. You know, we both apologized, and it was all done very like kindly and respectfully, but it was just super. It was like a very LA moment. And so anyways, so we had a great conversation, but I was already like, I want to go home. We were like 30 minutes in. We had ordered food, and I was basically like, yeah, I want to be in my bed. And
hence, you need to say, I would prefer to just have a drink.
I know. I do. Well, yes, going forward. But anyways, so there were a couple things that happened within the first 45 minutes of the day. So one of the reasons why he and I had never, like, why I had not been really pushing to meet him was because in his profile it had said just looking for casual.
Oh, yeah.
And I had said to him, well, I'm really only looking for serious at this point. And he said, okay, well, I guess like for me, like that is what I want, but you know, if there's really something there, then it could progress. And so when he said that, I was like, okay, fine. So I'll meet him for a drink.
So funny that he's looking for something casual and he wants to sit and have dinner with somebody.
Oh, well, I'm going to explain to you why. So about 45 minutes in, it comes out that he is still married and he's got 2 young kids, both of which none of this was anywhere in his profile, nor had he ever mentioned it in the month plus that we had been talking.
Yeah.
And I literally said to him, I was like, oh, so that's why you want casual. I was like, you are not able to get into anything. He was like, well, I'm on my way out and we're both separated, or we're separated, but we're living in the same house. And I was like, I did that too. I know what that's like, off and on for like many years. Like you're married, you know, like I don't care what you're telling yourself, like you're married. And they haven't even started the process. He has 2 young children in elementary school, which I did not know. You know, I have kind of a rule about not dating anyone with kids under 12 because for obvious reasons, because mine are older and I want to get on with my life and travel and do things. And so, yeah, but here was the kicker. So he proceeded to tell me that, because I was like, well, what do you do? Because he was like, I've moved out, I've moved back in, I've moved out, I've moved back in. And I was like, well, why? And he was like, well, I'm trying to like do right by my children and I don't know what to do. So I then ended up sitting there and giving him an hour and a half of
free consultation.
Totally. It was literally, I felt like it was like a work dinner. Yep. Totally. And I said to him at the end, so when the check came, I didn't even reach for my wallet. I didn't even pretend. I didn't even offer.
No,
I was like,
you should have sent him a bill.
At one point I said to him, you would be paying like double this if I had come to your home. But yeah, we went through like all of the research and we talked about brain development and we talked about like how to talk to his kids about what's going on. I mean, literally it was like he got a 2-hour consultation for dinner. It was a good deal for him.
A great deal.
It was a great deal for him. So yeah, it was an interesting date, and it was one of the things that was interesting about it is the field that he is in, like what he does for work, is actually like peripherally very similar to what a combination of what my brother does and what my ex has done. He's an entrepreneur. He's in the consumer space. He works for an entertainment company. And so before we got into like his life and like we had some interesting conversations.
Yeah.
And he said, he was like, how do you know? Because we were talking about IPs and the law and the tax situation around it and what it's like to have different vendors in different parts of the country and how to market to different profiles, and he was like, how do you know all of this stuff? And I was like, well, my ex, my brother, I've lived it.
You were also in it for a while?
What?
You were also in it?
I was in it, yeah. So so afterwards he said to me, he sent me a text. It was really nice. He said, I just want to make sure you got home okay.
Well, at least he doesn't have to lie to his wife about this date. He could have said he was consulting a parenting
I told him
coach.
that. I literally said, I was like, not only can you write off this dinner, but you can tell your wife that you were getting advice on how to handle how to work with the kids. And I said that to him. I literally at the end, I was like, because at one point I said, like, where does your wife think you are right now? Like, where do your kids think you are? And he was like, well, I work late, and so like I just said I had a work dinner. I was like, oh yeah, I live that. I know exactly what it's like to be on the other side of that.
I live that too.
Yeah. I was like, I was like, it's not, and I was giving him like marriage advice too. I was like, trust me, like, don't do this, like it's going to end badly for everybody, like get out, like just like get out. If you're not happy, it's really hard, but it's not worth doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
So as we have discussed on here, because you and I have both lived that life.
Talking about married friends, our married friends that we met the other night text me every day.
Seriously?
Every day.
For real?
Yeah.
The one who said he wished his wife loved him but more?
Yes.
Oh my God. Oh my God. When we went to dinner with you, remember? And then you left, and then we hung out at the bar, and
Felicia sent you pictures.
Felicia stayed with us.
Yes.
You took dinner home to your daughter. Felicia and Natasha and I stayed at the bar. Did we ever talk about that on here? We never talked. Okay, so that was also such a fun night. So we had dinner. We had a really good dinner, the four of us, and then Andy left.
We were commiserating and celebrating all at the same time.
We were.
So
should we talk about what we were commiserating and celebrating?
No. So we were commiserating. So you can understand how pear-shaped the night can get when you are commiserating and celebrating.
and there's alcohol involved.
Yeah.
So we had a large meal, so that was good. Like we ate a good meal together, and then Andy left, and you and Felicia and I, we were not ready to go, and so I walked over to the hostess. The restaurant was packed. The bar area was packed. I walked over to the hostess stand and I said, there's a table over there where it's like it was an 8-top and it was high 8-top. in the bar area, and I said to the hostess, can we sit at the other end? There's no one there. And she said to me, well, you have to ask the guys that are on the other side. And I said, well, why? Like, they're on one side, and then there's like 4 empty chairs on the other side. And she was like, well, it's their table. They are there all the time. Like, it's their table. And I was like, okay. So we walked over. We asked,
and of course they said yes.
And of course they said yes.
And it was just obvious after the night unfolded why they said yes.
Yeah. All married. Wait, one of them was not married, right?
Yeah, one of them's not married.
4 guys? 5 guys?
No, there were
3 guys? I don't even remember now.
Well, we were talking to 3 of them, but
they started buying us drinks.
There was 2 other couples with them as well that left early.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, but they were sitting at the bar though, weren't they?
No, they were sitting with them, had dinner with them.
Oh, but then they left. Got it. Okay, which was why those seats opened up.
No, because they came back from the restaurant at one point and they were sitting around the other side of the table. So I don't know. I think those seats were intentionally left open.
Oh.
We were the intentional victims.
The intentional victims. Oh my God, that was a really fun night though.
It was.
We have pictures from that night, which we will not share. Yeah, they were, except for one, they were all married and all lamenting their marriages. And
so
what is the deal with guys in this?
My new friend, I can call him a friend now.
Because you guys actually, but it was crazy that you ran into him then the next day. That's what was wild. Did you know that, Andy?
I didn't tell Andy that.
Oh, so the next day, so we had this really fun night. We hung out. We all then went our separate ways. We all went to our own homes that night. There was no fraternizing with the married men. And then the next day I get a text from Natasha saying, you're not gonna believe it, I'm hanging out with the guys again. I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And the craziest thing is, she was walking around West Hollywood.
And I was sending Andy pictures, and as I sent Andy the picture, I was about to walk across the street, and they walked into me. Like like that's how it was. So anyway, I ended up spending some time with them, which was super fun.
And now they become good friends.
So now he's a friend of mine, and he just wishes his wife would love him. It's so cute.
But I also, I was gonna say, I also wonder. Be careful of those friendships. Those friendships. I also wonder, like we were talking about, like, does he really want?
Well,
or
I remember saying to him at the time, I said to him, are you just using this as an excuse to live the life that you live?
Yeah, and?
Because I think he spends a lot of time away from her, and he spends a lot of time.
They all do. All those guys spend a ton of time away from their families.
If I'm going to be completely blunt, he spends a lot of time in bed with somebody else.
Okay. So there you go.
So I was like, is that just a thing that you use as an excuse so you can do this?
Yeah, and?
He didn't really answer the question.
Of course he didn't, because the answer was yes. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think that there are a lot, so it's interesting because I've been thinking and reading and researching a lot about infidelity and really trying to understand how it happens, why it happens, kind of like the science behind it. You know me, I'm like, I want to understand why things happen and not just let them kind of happen to me. And one of the things that I really understand about infidelity now, and I'm not even just talking about like within marriages, but within relationships, within friendships, within like anytime you are in any kind of friendship or relationship with someone and you feel that the attention that you would like to have on you in that moment is diverted elsewhere. That's infidelity.
Yeah.
That energy is not focused on you. And I don't mean that.
And it's not in a needy way. It's not like
it's not like a narcissistic way.
It's not like I need this all the time.
No.
It's that there are points in time where you need to be focused on the other person. The other person, is going through something, or it's just that you need that quality time together, or.
And sometimes people even say it. Like I said that a lot in my marriage. Like I need your attention and didn't get it. And that focus was elsewhere. And I think that like that is something that I've really started to understand. and I think that there are a lot of people, a lot of men in particular. I think actually women probably cheat more than men. I do, but I think women physically cheat, men emotionally cheat. And I think that the emotional cheating is far worse because that is what a real relationship can grow from.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
I agree with you.
Yeah, and so I think like there are a lot of men that are out there that are giving themselves excuses to be friends with other women, to hang out with other women, to under the guise of friendship or a work relationship or anything like that. And I think that that is a dangerous place to live.
Yeah.
I think it's because I think it threatens something else where your focus should be. And so like with this guy, I think, you know, well, clearly he's also physically cheating, but even just the fact that like his attention and his focus is on friendships with other women, he's choosing to devote that energy and time to other women instead of his wife. And so if he's saying that he wants and wishes she loved him more, why isn't he focused on that?
Well, in his defense, because this is
I'm curious.
He would say that she doesn't reciprocate. Like he tries and he makes an effort, and she'll like just go and do her own thing.
Yeah, and that might be the case. I mean, I'm not who are we to sit here and judge? I can only speak about it from when I see both sides or if I've been in it, knowing.
But that's also only one person's story.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I was going to say. And I think that like anytime there is any story, there is like if it was our story, there's like your side, there's my side, and then there's the truth, which is somewhere.
There is no matter how thin you slice it, there is always two sides.
Absolutely, love that. I love that, and I would actually argue that there's always a third. That there's always a third plot line, which is some combination of both sides.
But that's what I'm saying. Like each person in the situation has their
reality.
And you're living that reality because of your own personal experience, your traumas from the past, your triggers. All of that thing is allowing you to interpret this experience in a specific way.
Yeah.
And the other person is interpreting it in a completely different way.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, infidelity. If you are, trying to make it work with someone, that someone is who you should be trying to make it work with. Yeah. It's, and not looking for elsewhere. And I think I think especially in our swiping world, there's a lot of people that the second, like, there's an issue of any kind, it's like, oh, I'm just going to focus my attention elsewhere instead of working on.
Speaking with a millennial, I heard about this thing called the ick.
The ick?
Yeah.
Okay. I've not heard of the ick.
So the ick is like you're going out with this person, you're dating them, everything is awesome, everything is great. They do the tiniest little thing that you don't like. It's like, ooh, ick, and you're done.
And you're done. Yeah.
And you're done.
And
it's like that
there's no trying to work on
0.00001% thing that they did wrong, and you're done.
And how can anyone not have that? Like no one is perfect. So at some point there's going to be something that someone's going to do.
We live in a world that you open up an app and there is a plethora of people to connect with.
Yeah.
Whether they all want the same thing or not, but there's always it just seems like there's a better option out there.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, so it is really true. And even I think people who get into relationships, like real relationships, not even just the dating, I think like there's always in the back of their mind this idea of like
there's a better option.
That there's a better option, and so it's so hard.
That's what I mean. Not even if it's a dating or it's just everything. It's about being in a relationship. Is always just something better out there.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember now if it was Kimmy Seltzer or April Beyer who said. I think it was April, because I think I was watching something on Instagram where she said that one of the things that she does is she really works with her clients not just to put them together to find a date.
April said this.
But also like she works with them to the wedding date, and even sometimes beyond that, because there's so much that happens in the blending of families and planning events and blending of finances, and there are so many times where someone gets like that ick factor and wants to pull back, and she's like, no, this is like, you have to build the relationship, and you have to attend to the person and you have to give this person attention. And I actually think like that's such an interesting piece, like it's the attention factor, because even like this new guy that I've gone on a bunch of dates with now, and I really like him, but it's still so new, and you know, it remains to be seen. And it's like, one of the things that I also have learned is that women need to feel wanted and men want to feel needed.
Yeah.
So we want to be wanted and men need to be needed. And that definitely is a factor for me. You know, like regardless of the relationship that I'm in, I know that I'm gonna want to feel wanted and desired and like sought after. And, you know, and I think that there are a lot of people in this world that don't want to put the energy and the time and the effort in. They're like lazy.
Well, they're also lazy because they just think, oh, well, if this one doesn't, then there's another.
Right. And so we'll see, because I feel like, you know, who knows what, who knows? What about you? Have you had any interesting, no? Nothing that you want to share?
No. I mean, I went on a hot date on Saturday night. I'm just joking, Andy. A hot date. But I did not go on a hot date on Saturday.
You did. You were a companion. It was awesome. Oh, yes. Show that. Did you send Andy the picture? That was awesome.
Yes, Andy has the picture.
Oh, that was awesome. You were like a chaperone.
I went out with my 94-year-old friend.
Yeah. I love that.
I love him too. Yeah. So much.
And he loves you. And I love that you guys did that.
And I've known him for like 20 years now. So
right, which is truly amazing that you guys have had this friendship and, you know, kind of like in some ways like grown up together, you know, as friends. Do you think men and women can actually be friends?
Yes.
You do? Yeah, I don't think that they can. I think that in a male-female friendship, there's always some desire for something else. Not always sexual, but whether it's like you want something from the person or
something. I don't know. Like Dion and I have also been friends since we were for 20 years.
Well, maybe after that many years, and if it predates like marriage and kids and but I don't know. I definitely am not. I'm not a believer, because even like the guys that I'm friends with, like there's definitely like a component of wanting more at different, you know, like at different moments. Not from me, but you know.
I mean,
So I think,
Aww, that's my dear friend.
Look at how cute you guys are.
It makes me so happy.
Yeah, that's so sweet. I love that. I love that you did that with him. That was after we went to Restore, the Restore event.
Yes, which was awesome. You did an amazing job on the red carpet.
How many interviews were there?
26.
26, yeah. It was so much fun. So the Restore Foundation.
A fantastic foundation.
It's an amazing foundation. The Restore Foundation was started by Dr. Michael Obeng in 2008. This was their 15-year anniversary gala celebration.
Yeah.
They, over the years, have completed 1,600 reconstructive surgeries to people who cannot afford them in 9 countries on 3 continents. This year they are going to 4 different countries. Every year they do 2 to 4 missions, and they are completely cost-free to the beneficiaries.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. And you know, people who support this foundation, they're giving money to something where, you know, where we say, like, what's that phrase, like the dirt hits the road, or the
rubber hits the road.
Rubber hits the road. There you go. Yeah. Like, it's truly that there's Dr. Michael Obeng in the blue tuxedo jacket. It's incredible.
It really changes people's lives.
Absolutely. There was a woman that I interviewed, which I'm sure you'll see her over this. She was wearing this beautiful emerald green dress. Right there, with Miss Carrie Ann Kimball. So she actually was in an accident about 1.5 years ago, and they completely reconstructed her face.
It's amazing.
And she was there. There's Valeria Levinsky. She was the Ukrainian opera singer who, check out the clothing. I wanted her shoes so badly. I still do. I gotta find them. But yeah, it was such an incredible event to be there, to talk to so many people on
And
the red carpet.
I just saw you with the iPad because we used the chat.
I know. I was just about to say. We co-hosted this event with ChatGPT.
It was awesome.
I think we may have made history that it was the first red carpet co-hosted with ChatGPT.
I think it was.
We stumped ChatGPT once or twice, and ChatGPT also helped us many times. This lovely lady is both a model and in nursing school.
Yeah.
But there were
I mean, this is the woman that's had the reconstructive surgery that you spoke with.
Yep.
I know, it's completely
life-changing.
When I lived in South Africa, we produced events for the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund.
Yeah.
And there was one arm of the Children's Fund that's called the Smile Foundation.
Oh, I know that, yes.
And the Smile Foundation, do these reconstructive surgeries on kids with cleft palates.
Oh, really?
So it's all about getting them to smile again, which is so beautiful.
It is. It's such an amazing cause. And I think things like that, we talk about internal beauty versus external beauty. And that was one of the things about this event too, right? Because it was, Dr. Obeng is actually a cosmetic surgeon in Beverly Hills. And so there were a lot of cosmetic surgeons at this event and a lot of estheticians at this event. And it was interesting because one of the things that they almost unilaterally said when I would ask questions was that, they genuinely believe that beauty does come from the inside. However, people do look at us and people form opinions.
Exactly.
And so to have the ability to be able to look in a mirror and say, I feel good about myself, really helps your self-confidence and your self-esteem so that you can go out into the world.
Yeah. Like yesterday, actually, Tanya Memi was interviewing someone. She's a stylist.
Yeah.
And she said that, it's all very well to say, don't judge a book by its cover, don't do this. But unfortunately, we live in a world that we do.
We do,
So you need to make the cover as pretty as you can.
Yeah. And it's so interesting that, it's so true, right? It's like we would all love to say, no one is looking at me and I can walk out of the house and wear whatever I want and do whatever I want. We can, but there's a but there.
But she also made this comment, which I also thought was so true, and that's why I mentioned it so in this thing, is that when you walk into a room and you're dressed a certain way, it says so much about your personality.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, you're wearing like a bohemian outfit. Oh, you must have this kind of sensibility. Or you're wearing like a suit and tie. Oh, so you immediately get to present yourself. What a picture speaks 1,000 words.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it is.
Well, and I also think someone once said to me, you always look put together, and like you don't leave the house really in like sweats, which I do. I absolutely do. But anytime I'm going anywhere where I'm like doing anything real, like not just running a couple of errands with my kids, I try to like just look semi-cute, and I'll put a little bit of mascara on just because you just never know. Like you just never know.
It's just like
I feel better.
I feel better about myself.
Yeah.
I know that, I want to put my best foot out there.
Right.
I remember when I was leaving my support group, when I was transitioning from one support group to another during the pandemic.
Yeah.
We did this beautiful thing is everyone had to say like what they learned.
Yeah.
Like what we offered, what they learned. Like, it's just like a whole little thing. And the one girl I always remember saying this, she said she found it so interesting that like whatever I was going through in my life, I still always looked like I wasn't going through what I was going through.
I would actually totally agree with that. It's really unbelievable. You carry yourself in a way that no one would ever know what you have been going through and dealing with. No, truly.
So you got to interview some very interesting people on the red carpet. You did mention the plastic surgeons, the musicians, the opera singer, but eventually towards the end of the red carpet, the state controller and the mayor of San Francisco arrived.
They did, and that was like a real honor for me because I obviously know who both of them are.
Yeah.
And I was so this is Ms. Malia Cohen. She is the state controller. And we talked for a couple of minutes about finances, and it was
I love it.
What? And we're going to take a look right now.
Welcome to Life 2.0. We're live on the carpet, and you are. My name is Malia Cohen. I'm California State Controller. You're the California State Controller. I'm very excited to have you here.
Are we not going to hear it?
Going. Like, what is it like to be the California State Controller?
So the state controller's role is the chief fiscal officer for the entire state of California.
Yeah.
There are 40 million.
You're basically the person I want to talk to about anything that's happening in this.
Basically, yes.
Does the buck stop with you?
Actually, it does.
Yeah.
And I move money. That's more importantly. I'm in charge of moving money, the disbursement.
I have so many questions for you. I wish we could do a long form interview right now.
Anytime, just let me know when.
So my show is actually all about how, as women, we can help each other grow in the latter stages of our lives.
Yes.
Everything from mental health space to financial literacy to physicality, internal beauty, external. But I'm very passionate about financial literacy because I think there's so many women who don't know what they're doing. How did you get into that?
You know what? I also find that women believe that they don't make enough money. You can be middle class or working class and still be able to save. There are several different techniques and platforms that are available to women when it comes to investing. Being the head of a household, you already have the strong power of the purse. Look at you. You're probably a media mogul running the program, utilizing your platform, but being able to take out and give tangible information is absolutely critical. I think it's all about information.
Yeah, so that was Malia Cohen, who is our state controller, and we were talking about really taking control of our financial situations. And there's this incredible, we're coming up on taxes,
yes.
Tax season. Have you filed your taxes yet?
I have. I've already got my refund.
Oh, look at you. So no issues with the IRS.
No, I will not be needing WizTax.
I was going to say you're not going to be needing WizTax. Oh, we don't need your help either, Siri. So WizTax is this awesome company that if you were in trouble with the IRS or you had anything that you needed help with, you can go on to WizTax. You get a free consultation.
It's amazing.
It's an amazing company, and they provide help in recovering your funds or helping to consolidate. And it's
because
a
so many
service.
people, when you have trouble with the IRS, you get into freeze mode.
I don't have an answer for that.
You get scared.
Oh, totally.
Because there are so many implications if you don't do it correctly, or you get scared and then you don't reach out, and then the next year it gets worse, and the next year it gets worse. But here they give you a free consultation, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And so you kind of know in the before you sign on with them, you already know like what they are going to be able to do for you.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things that's so interesting, and you were alluding to this, is that the IRS is this company that has this negative connotation assigned to it, right? Like we hear the word IRS, and I think everyone is just like, ugh, scary, shaking in their, in their bones. And but there actually are these incredible resources out there to help common people, to help anyone. And I think sometimes people think that they don't have the funds or the ability to find a company to actually help them. And so the great thing about WizTax is that this is a company where you can go online, you can do a free consultation. They can help you figure out how to recover funds, consolidate funds, whatever it is, they are there for you, and they hold your hand every step of the way, which I think is for people who really don't understand what to do and how to do it. That's a service that's invaluable.
It is completely invaluable.
Yeah. So, and it was founded by like tax attorneys. So that, and they've been in business for many, many, many years, and so they fully know what they're doing. And so it was funny. It was like a funny culmination of talking to Malia Cohen, and then I talked to Mayor London Breed a little bit about finances, and we've had the financial segments on the show. And I think that one of the things that I really want to get out to people, anyone that's watching the show, is there are all of these incredible resources that you don't have to be scared or nervous or ignore when something feels like you need help with it. It's you don't need to hide under a rock. There are resources, and this is a great resource.
It is a great resource. I mean, thinking about the IRS and the negative connotation that they have. When I moved to the US, because of my circumstance, I didn't file taxes. Someone else did it for me.
Yeah.
And the first year I had to do it on my own. I was petrified. I was like, what if I do it wrong? And what if I this? And so I can only imagine how people must feel if they owe money or they are in a mess and they don't know where to go. But this is here's relief.
Yeah, relief. Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, that's really true. So it's a great company, and we'll continue to bring more companies and resources to our public and to the viewers. But this is one that we happen to really love, and So what else were we going to talk about today?
Today, so many things. I mean, I can't even. Oh, you bought a book.
Oh, I brought a book. Okay, so there have
You've read it. You finished it already, I imagine.
I haven't actually.
Oh,
which
you
is
haven't?
I have not. I know, because I was reading the other book about finances. So this is this week's. My children are not with me this weekend, and so this is actually this weekend's reading. While I have 2 other books I'm also reading on my Kindle, but so this is.
You can hold it up to the close-up.
This is called. Actually. Can we see it there? There we go. Yeah, The Narc Decoder
by Tina Swiffen.
And I know that this was something that you recommended that I read. And do you want to tell me about this book and why you recommended it?
So this book, so let me get a little bit of background about Tina. So Tina, went through her own experience of divorce and abuse.
Oh, she's in San Luis Obispo.
Yes, and she came on Zoomed onto my show when we were at the house. So she was so tired of telling people her story while she was going through it, because it was a 10-year journey. And so she started writing a blog, and she just used to send the links to her family and friends. She was like, I can't talk about it anymore here.
Just read this.
And it just gained so much popularity.
Yeah.
Her other book is called
Divorcing a Narcissist.
Is the #1 divorce book in the world.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. And she has become an activist and really an advocate, should I rather say, for family court reform. And being
Why
in
is
this
that?
space, because it's not a good. It needs a lot of reform. There are the rights of the parents supersede the rights of the children in a lot of the states. So what does that mean? It means that you can be a child molesting meth addict and you still have the rights to see your child
in
states like California, because they believe in what they call family reunification, and not about getting the family back into one unit, but it's about that the rights of the parents over, you can abuse your child and you still can have visitation. And it's just, they treat domestic violence divorce and regular divorce the same.
Which is unbelievable.
I think it's Ohio, have been so impacted by what a lot of these organizations are doing that they have decided that they have proposed a new law of separating the two out. If there's any sign of domestic violence, you get treated differently in the court.
Which is incredible.
Which is amazing.
Are they the only state that's doing that right now?
The only state, it's the first state to do it. I mean, California's made some adjustments in terms of how they define abuse. In 2020, they made a big move to expand the definition of coercive control. But this is her book called The Narc Decoder. So a narcissist communicates in what is in a pattern. It doesn't seem like a pattern because it's a complete word salad and turns everything upside down, on its head, inside out. And after reading that book, for me, I got to recognize the pattern. And I find it amusing to read, and it communicates with amusing these days, because it's usually they will point a finger and blame you for things that they are doing, and just the whole thing is you just see it's just pattern. So she very lovingly terms this thing the Narc Decoder, and she goes, we'll just put it into the machine. Boom, boom, boom. And
here's what it really means.
The real message. And this is what it really means. So she takes all these examples of the things that she has done, of her experience, and then people have submitted. So it's all different types of communication that's come through into this book. So you can just see it's a complete pattern. And it just makes so much sense to, I think, in my own experience, if I didn't read that book, I still wouldn't know how to. I'd be bewildered. I would be stressed out every time I got a message. Now I do not. I just okay, this is it. yeah, sometimes I still get like that little twinge of anxiety, like, oh, what now? But not to the point is like, oh, I don't know what to say. I don't know.
Right. It doesn't throw you like into a tailspin every time. It's like you have yeah. Well, and I think that, you know, interestingly enough, I think that there are certain language styles that people use to get their own agenda across, right? And I think with narcissists, they have a way of speaking to people that works for them. I think it's very manipulative, and I think that this will be really good for me to read. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So I was like, that's why you definitely have to. You have to do that because it's. I mean, it's just so. It's interesting. It's just like for me, I finished the book, and a week later, I had this very intense experience. Not in a message; it was in person, and I was being followed and stalked, and I was with my child, and this person started like screaming at me, and I just took a breath, and I thought about it, and I was decoding the message in real time, and I was like, okay, it's easy for me to deal with now.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that I will have a similar experience. I mean, quite honestly, like there's very little communication right now between me and my ex, and most of it's going through, you know, mediation at this stage, and I think it will probably continue to be that way. Unfortunately, it's really sad that that's kind of where we're at, but I think that's where we're at.
Like the type of person that you are, it will make you go back. You will think back on the last, you know, couple months or even year or years, and you will clearly understand. Like you said to me the other day, you were feeling angry as to how you let this happen, or how you landed up in the situation. Like you will clearly understand how it happened.
Yeah.
Well, and communication style.
Yeah, and I think that will also, I'm hoping that brings me some peace, because I think like if there's anything that I'm genuinely upset about at this point, it's the loss of the friendship and the loss of having this person in my life, but it wasn't a healthy relationship, and I wish it could have been, you know, I really do, but it just didn't make me feel good. And it didn't matter what I said or how I tried to explain that. It was always, as you said, turned on its head, and the accountability was just never there. So
I'm really excited for you to read it. I can't wait for next week
when
after
we can
you've
talk
read
about
it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading it, and I think I'm probably going to get the other one as well, her other book as well. I didn't realize.
There's a couple of them. So she turned her blog into a whole organization. They have these things all over the world where they support people. She now has a coaching program for high conflict divorce, for divorces. So it's pretty awesome. She's probably in that space.
What is her background?
She was in marketing before that.
Interesting.
But in that space, the DV divorce space, she is probably the most well-known person in the world.
Interesting. That's
very understated. She's awesome. We've developed a lovely relationship, and I'm very grateful for it.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to next week when we can talk about it and do an update. And so that is on the. That's on the.
So you said that you were reading the other book. So let's just go quick update.
Yes.
On the other book.
Oh, the financial.
Yeah.
I love the like spirituality piece of, you know, like really understanding what's it called?
It's not your money.
Right. Right now I'm in this place where anything that I can read or try to understand or talk about with regard to finances, I'm like, bring it on.
Yeah.
Right? And because I'm really clearly, that was an area in my marriage where I put my head in the sand admittedly take full accountability for that. And it goes back to like triggers that I have with my own childhood and with finances, and I've done a lot of work to understand that. But I also wasn't supported in the way that I needed to be supported in the marriage with regard to finances. But he did try. Like there were times where he would try and say like, here's what's going on, and I would always just say, you deal with it. Like I don't want to talk about it. I would not respond to emails. And so I mean, you know, I definitely like put my head in the sand. So now I'm in like the opposite, where I'm like reading as much as I can, and I'm really loving the book. I just think that there are so many ways to look at finances.
Yeah.
I think that is what is important for people to understand. Like it's not just about what you bring in and what goes out. And it really plays into who you are as a person, you know, and how you carry yourself.
Yeah.
And there are so many aspects to understanding finances. And there are some people that are really, you know, lucky and fortunate and able to have a lot of help and have people help them manage and then there are other people that like need to do it themselves. And if you fall into that, even if you don't fall into that bucket of needing to do it yourself, like people should understand their finances better.
Yeah.
I know, what do you think about that book?
I'm very fascinated by the book, but also I think the reason why I'm more tied into the book is because of the person that recommended it to me.
You have that strong connection.
I have that very strong connection to her, and she said that, you know, she reordered the book because she had given so many copies away.
Oh yeah, you were telling me
and she wanted to redo it.
Yeah.
And it's just an interesting take on it, and
maybe next week I'll bring both of, and we'll talk about both of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they're great books.
You have a great guest coming on.
I do. So after the break, stay tuned. Ms. Tracy Fredkin, the founder of SoCal Moms, is going to be here. We're going to be talking all things wellness, recap of the wellness event from a few weeks ago, and also they're going to be on Silo TV tomorrow at 3 p.m. on Biz TV. So we're going to talk about it. And stay tuned. See you soon.
So here is our Jackery. Unbox it. You want to get it charged up. You use this fantastic charger over here. This is the output over there. And it has an extra cable like this with the ability to charge it in your car. So that is really cool. So we have it all charged up. It has here, you can press on the display. You can see now that it is not drawing any power, it is not bringing in any power, and it is 99% charged, which is cool. So as you want to use all your separate things, you can turn on the little lights, and it will show you, as you can see there, that now you can draw power out of them, or you can turn them off, just like you would at home. If you want to leave something plugged in, but not having it draw power, there you can turn it off. So let's have some fun and see what our Jackery can fire up. So in the past, we have used the Jackery to light up our lives with Govee. We have charged our cell phones, and we have done a few other things. But we've even lit up the Aero Garden. How amazing is that we were able to light up the Aero Garden? But today we're going to push the Jackery to the limit, and we are going to take a look at the This Works. What's this? This Works car vacuum. Awesome, very cool. And we could even take a look at Tambi used it. And how amazing is this? Oh my goodness. You can just keep on going and going and going. You can get into every little nook and cranny in your car with all of this. How awesome. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to stick it into our Jackery. Let's do it this way so you guys can see what I'm doing. Turn it on. The little light and the display have gone on because we are about to fire this up. Thank you, Mr. Jackery. There we go. That is cool. So let's see what else we can fire up today. I mean, that is just so cool. You see, powerful vacuum, Jackery fired it up. Let's have a look at some of the other things that we can fire up today. Let's see. Here we go. So let's try the Levoit air purifier. I mean, this is a high power drawing item, I think. I would imagine so. It's not something that you would generally plug into this little power port here. Amazing. If this works, you know how incredible this must be. So not only is the Jackery used when you are camping or exploring the world in your RV or your car, the Jackery can also be your backup power source for a disaster. Disaster preparedness. The Jackery is definitely something that you'd want to have in your home. And like, God forbid there is something and the air is not pure and now you're stuck in your home, you've got no power, you can't put your air purifiers on. If there's a huge amount of dust in the air, or if there's a big, like we are in California, it could be a huge earthquake, it will bring up a lot of dust, but you obviously want to still keep your lungs protected. Let's see if the Jackery not only will give us power, but will also save lives. So plug it in over here. We'll turn it on. And you can see, let's actually put this up a little bit because you'll be able to see the lights. So let's put that, try and see if you can see that there. This all in the name of, okay, there we go. So the little light is on. We have the, did you see that? Okay, turn it on. Let's turn on the light so you guys can see. There we go. That is it. So we have our Levoit that is powered up. You can see the lights are on over there. And this is thanks to our Jackery. How incredibly powerful is this tiny little box. That is amazing. So these are the cool things that we can do thanks to our Jackery. Oh my goodness. Look at that. This powerful little thing can do all of that. So here is our Jackery. Unbox it. You want to get it charged up. You use this fantastic charger over here. This is the output over there, and it has an extra cable like this with the ability to charge it in your car. So that is really cool. So we have it all charged up. It has here, you can press on the display. You can see now that it is not drawing any power, it is not bringing in any power, and it is 99% charged, which is cool. So as you want to use all your separate things, you can turn on the little lights and it will show you, as you can see there, that now you can draw power out of them, or you can turn them off just like you would at home. If you want to leave something plugged in but not having it draw power, there you can turn it off. So let's have some fun and see what our Jackery can fire up. So in the past, we have used the Jackery to light up our lives with Govee. We have charged our cell phones, and we have done a few other things. But we've even lit up the AeroGarden. How amazing is that we were able to light up the AeroGarden? But today we're going to push the Jackery to the limit, and we are going to take a look at the This Works. What's this? This Works car vacuum. Awesome, very cool. And we could even take a look at Tambi used it. And how amazing is this? Oh my goodness. you can just keep on going and going and going. You can get into every little nook and cranny in your car with all of this. How awesome. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to stick it into our Jackery. Let's do it this way so you guys can see what I'm doing. Turn it on. The little light and the display have gone on because we are about to fire this up. Thank you, Mr. Jackery. There we go. That is cool. So let's see what else we can fire up today. I mean, that is just so cool. You see, powerful vacuum, Jackery fired it up. Let's have a look at some of the other things that we can fire up.
You're the owner of Hey Milestone as well. Sorry, was it okay to say? Oh, we're live! Hi! Welcome back! Welcome back. If you're just joining us, I am Marissa, your host of Life 2.0. We are live. It is Tuesday morning, coming to you from Brentwood, California. It's absolutely gorgeous, which is so nice because it's going to rain for the next 2 days again.
I know. Oh my God. When will it ever end?
When will it ever end? Yeah, so I'm here with Tracy. This is the third time you've been on the show?
I think this is the third time, right?
This is the third time. I think you might be my most frequented guest at this point, which is exciting. I know. Also a friend. And we today are specifically talking about the wellness event, which happened on March 7th, right? March 7th at the Griffin Club. And it was such a fun event. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It was so awesome. I'm curious, like, how do you feel it went? Like, what are your takeaways now that it's over and you've had maybe like a day or not really? You're like on to the next one.
We're moving on, but no, I mean, we're thrilled with like the event and everyone's participation and the content. You know, it's always interesting, like what you think is going to be popular and to see how people react to it. I'm still I miss everything. I don't get to do anything,
which is such a bummer for you.
I know, but it like keeps being new because we just got all the videos. So like, you can go back and watch everything. Yeah. We're slowly sort of releasing different
you can see the B-roll that we're showing while we're talking.
Yeah.
These are some of the interviews that I did.
Okay.
But you can keep talking about the event while we're showing it. It's
well,
okay.
so, I mean, I'm getting to watch back everything, and we get in all the feedback from everyone. And so, I mean, I'm curious, too, to hear, like, what things stood out to you that were, like, new or different. I thought it was like a really interesting mix of companies that we've really never had there before. So much new stuff.
Yeah, I thought that actually. I thought you did a really great job of curating because this was my third one that I've been to.
Yeah.
And I thought that you've done a really great job of curating new companies in the wellness space, but to bring to the event. I loved the way you did the gifting suite. I thought that was like the best. I mean, it was interesting because it took up a massive part of the property. Yes. Right?
It was a
massive undertaking, I would imagine.
Yes. It's a very big activation now, and it was very popular.
So it had a line the entire event.
There was a line the entire
event. Yeah. Which, makes you wonder, are people coming to things for the free stuff? Or
it was interesting because we haven't done it that way in the past. This is a new thing that we're doing.
Why don't you explain how you did it? Because I thought it was really interesting, and I know that it's really your company, so you can explain how this works.
Yeah, so one thing that we've been doing that sort of actually since the pandemic is we created a new company that we own called Hey Milestone, which gives us the ability to actually send personalized samples direct to your door, which was a great thing to be able to do during the pandemic because we really lost the opportunity, as everybody knows, to be together in person, which is how we'd always introduced our audience to new products. And so we had to think outside the box.
Or inside the box. Or inside the box.
If you will. And so we made a box that we could now ship direct to your door that has different samples.
And I love it.
And so, it's great. And so during the time when we couldn't all be together, people could come to our website and fill out a survey and then get a personalized box sent to them. Now that we can be back in person, we've we've been thinking through, how we do that in person.
Yeah.
And so what we decided to do was to do these gifting stations where instead of us pre-packing the box for you, especially at an event like this, where there's so much different content and there's so many different people. There are people at the beginning stages of just being pregnant and thinking about one thing.
And would want this
that
in
want,
their box,
yes,
right?
That want
like
stuff for young kids and pregnancy and, younger women interested in certain things. And then, there's this whole other group of people who don't need baby bottles and, that type of stuff.
And want the suppositories with CBD
menopause.
for menopause.
But, I think the idea was, one, it gives us like a short moment of education around products. So instead of like just chucking as much stuff in a bag as we can, we can walk you through a little bit around like, hey, these are the companies that are here. These are the things that you could choose from. And then letting people pick and choose and make their own box that's right for them. So, you take home the things that you want and that you'll use. We don't like waste product. I hate wasting stuff. Especially for the brands, they cost them a lot of money and they work hard to create samples and they want them going to the right people. And so, I think it's a win-win for everybody and it was very popular. I think the reason why there was a line partially is it takes a long time to do it this way now and look at everything. And like, it's like if you're in a store and you're browsing, you're not like kind of like speed browsing. You in general stand there and it takes a while.
And you ask questions. I mean, to your point, like, I was going around in the outside area to all the different people that were there with their product, and I was actually asking them questions. I mean, I was interviewing also, but I was genuinely curious, like, why would I want or need the True Niagen, which I thought, the True Niagen was like something I'd never heard of. But when I like actually went and did the interview and talked to the people about this product, I was like, why is everybody not taking this? Like this should be in everyone's diet essentially.
Well, and that's the thing is like a lot of these products, they need explanation. A lot of these categories, they need, you're like, okay, this like sounds good or sounds interesting, but you want to have some background. And I think that's the other thing too. It's really helpful if you can pick your products and go listen to the content sessions and go talk to some of the brands, and then you feel like you leave much more educated than just like, us handing you this or that.
Stuff. No, I was able to leave with things that I felt like really were interesting for me. I mean, I obviously pulled a few things that I won't use, like the powdered formulas, like that. I'm a little bit past that. Although I will say it was interesting because I was talking to them about this and I did say, could I put this in my kids' smoothies? And they said, yes, it's actually a great like protein way to do it for, and I make smoothies for my girls almost every single day.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. A lot of the products are multi-use, right? And they have longevity. So like they may have an age range on them, but like
you
it's
can
interesting
figure out how to,
there's a lot going on too in the powdered milk space, if you will. Everything is a powder.
Everything is a powder. I know. Why is that?
I mean, it's interesting, I think, because of like this multi-use concept, right? One, I think like there's so much backlash against like gummies or this format or that format or like what format you ingest something in. There's a lot of research that says you should ingest things, in different versions. But I also think to the extent you're a parent and you have a family, like, hey, isn't it easier to have something you could kind of pour into anything versus trying to convince someone to do this or do that or to have 27 pills. So I do think, like I was talking to a company the other day that has like powdered milk, which is like great for travel. They're like, hey, if your kid is like a big milk drinker and like you're traveling, here's this powdered milk that you put in. And I use that for my kid, actually, not their product, but I've used a powdered milk for that reason. Like he wants to have his milk. I'm on an airplane. Like, what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? So
Totally.
It's a good idea. I'm like, I agree. But I think that we're also on the go a lot, which is why a lot of these formats work too. How nice is it to throw the stuff in your purse and put it in water or put it in your smoothie or whatever you're doing?
No, I love it. I mean, I thought that there were so many great companies there. And downstairs, you had like all the different types of fitness. And there was a cold plunge, which I actually did for the first time ever. Natasha has done cold plunges before. She does them like once a month in the ocean.
Oh, really?
And she's been trying to get me. What? once a week in the ocean. But I've never done that. That's crazy, right? Like Natasha's amazing, but I've never done this before. And I was like, I'm trying to challenge myself to do things this year. I don't know why, but you know. So Natasha was like, you're gonna do this. So that was us doing the cold plunge. Natasha went all the way under.
That's what I was gonna say. Did she go all the way?
She went all the way under.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm out. I'm done. I was like, I'd had it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's like, and I think that's what they tell you to do, right? Is go all the way under and then come out and like sit, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely, listen, the fact that I even got in there, I was proud of myself. And we stayed in for, what was it? We stayed in for a full 2 minutes. And I truly did learn that a lot of it is about the breath work.
Yeah.
Like, which I didn't really understand that before.
Yeah.
And I will say the first 40 seconds were hell.
Yeah.
Like really, really hard.
Yeah.
But once I got past those first 40 seconds, like I kept saying, I'm getting out at a minute, I'm getting out. But by the time I got to 40 seconds, I was able to then stay until 2 minutes.
To go over, and that's what they were saying, is that like you have to kind of like get over that hurdle.
The initial,
but that's like the breath work is really important, I think. And there's like a method, you know, it's not just people are like, oh, just do it in my backyard or whatever. But there's like a method to it that
no, they talked me through it. I mean, I couldn't have done it if she wasn't literally right there. She was like, now focus on this and breathe this way. And she was great. So that was really fun. So we did that. And then I was on the panel, and
and I heard that was a very popular panel.
It was a great panel led by Chudney Ross.
Yeah,
she was phenomenal, and we also had other really amazing women on, Alexa Fisher and Dr. Tina. No, not Dr. Tina Cooper.
You had Dr. Cara Natterson.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm totally blanking on the first pediatrician next to Chudney. She's the one who has done all of the puberty books for.
Yes.
And I'm blanking on her name right.
That is Cara
Natterson.
Yeah. And she did. It's interesting because she has written all of those books.
Yeah.
And when I first talked to her about this event, I didn't realize, because she has a puberty podcast and all this stuff.
Yeah, she's great.
That's the book that was recommended to me for my son, and I had it at home. It's so funny. She was like, "Oh, I've written all these books, and this is," and I was like, "Oh my God, that's so," because that's the book.
She's
that,
like the puberty doctor.
Yeah, hands down was like recommended, and my son actually really liked that book. I have to say, and I recommended it.
Yeah, she's great. She's really great. I really liked her a lot, and it was a great panel. And I mean, as we've talked, I hope that you'll do more of these like geared towards like moms of older kids, because I think, one of the things I do think that I find a lot, not just in the LA market, but in general, is there's a lot of attention now paid to moms with younger kids, but the education drops off when your kids hit middle school. And quite frankly, like that's when you really need the help knowing how to be the best parent possible. Because it's no longer just about like the right nutrition and the right sleep habits and routines. It's about really like working with them through like the mental health components and relationship building and friendship building and learning how to advocate for yourself and self-esteem stuff, and all of those things are so important. And parents they are ill-equipped, unfortunately, to deal with a lot of those subjects. Hence, I have a job.
I think you hit like this change. That's the thing. You have so much support. I think 0 to 5. Then you get into school and elementary school, and there's more structure, and you have a different sort of community. I think, and you sort of get into like you feel good about things, and things are good, and then your kid gets to like 9 or 10 earlier and earlier now, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, you're like, now what?
No, there's going to be some things I have no idea about.
Yeah.
And I think also, like, I have boys, not girls. I know nothing about boys. That's what I've realized. I thought I did.
Do you want to know what's so interesting about boys, too? And this came up on the panel, because, I do a group with boys as well, and I work with a lot of boys, and one of the things that I find really interesting for parents, especially of boys, is that they tend to think that their boys are happiest if like left alone, let alone to game, do sports, etc. Right? And what I have learned working with all the boys that I work with is that when you give them the space and the freedom and the respect to open up and talk and share, oh my God, they go a mile a minute, and they are so much more trusting and come out with so much more information than the girls do. Earlier on.
Yeah.
They are just like, they literally want a place to be able to talk about what they're feeling, going through, etc. And I think that there are a lot of parents of boys who don't understand that, and don't necessarily encourage their sons to talk to them about all the things that they would maybe encourage a daughter, which sounds so gender stereotypical and unfortunate, but I see it. I see it a lot.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting. I do think that's true to some extent too. Like with my kids, like they're pretty open books to some extent, except that they're busy doing whatever they're doing and they can't be bothered to get off their technology or whatever. But like they're not. I don't feel like he is like hiding stuff so much or like.
Yeah. Not yet.
Not yet. Can't wait. Cannot wait.
Yeah. So you own a lot of companies.
I do, yes.
Yeah, I know. You own a lot of companies.
Okay.
You've been in business for many years. Before that, you were a lawyer.
I was, yes.
You've like.
I've done a lot of things.
You've done a lot, lived a lot of lives,
I'm not
Tracy.
that old though, but I've done a lot of things.
We're not that old, no. I'm curious, because we're coming into tax season and we like to talk financial literacy on this show. Have you ever had any tax issues with the IRS or any challenges, or has anything ever come up where you've needed to like get out of a jam or just like need additional support?
I mean, we have very good people, you know, who do our stuff, for the most part, but it's very complicated. Like, I feel like every year I wish I like understood more or knew more. I think especially as the business grows and stuff, like, you know, I'm like, am I doing the right things? Am I doing the right things to maximize our profits and deductions and should I run the business differently, or all of those different things. You know, I'm always trying to figure out like, how do you do things the best way you can possibly do them, while obviously following all the rules that you need to follow, which are like an insane amount. I will say doing business in California is not ideal from a tax perspective, and I'm totally happy to move to like Nevada,
Texas, or
anywhere that's not California. Small business in California is terrible. That's my commentary about that.
Well, if you ever want an extra added layer of protection, or if you're ever feeling like you might need someone to do some additional due diligence, there's this company that we've been talking about called WizTax. And they don't necessarily prepare your taxes, but they're an excellent resource for helping people make sure that they are getting what they should be getting, dealing with the IRS in the way that they should be dealing with them, basically not getting raked over the coals by the people that are preparing their taxes or by the IRS themselves. And one of the things that I find really interesting is even when you think you have someone really good doing your taxes, it's kind of like when you go to the doctor, right? Like when you go to the doctor, you get a diagnosis, you go get a second and third opinion. Why don't we do that with our finances? Why do we just give our finances like to our accountant and just say, okay, thank you very much, wipe my hands of it, and then just trust that they're going to do it in the best, like you said, like with all the rules and the deductions, et cetera. So anyways, this company is kind of like an added layer of protection where they tend to, like I said, they don't go in and prepare taxes for you, but if you have concerns or questions, they're an excellent layer of protection, and they have been helping people actually get money back from the IRS or consolidate challenging financial issues with the IRS. So interesting. Yeah, interesting. In case you ever need something like that.
It's always good to know.
Or you could move to Nevada and run your business from there. That is another option.
There is an option.
But I would miss you. I would miss
regular
basis. Okay, so really quickly before we get played off, what was the highest high from this event? What are you excited about going forward with wellness? And
I mean, I think just all of it, the energy, like the enthusiasm for it, like people already talking about the next event, you know, it's sort of like getting that feedback makes you excited to sort of plan the next one and, you know, continue to push the envelope and find new companies and cover new topics and sort of grow with this audience.
The nice thing is that this is definitely a space where there is always growth, right? And so you
it's
can always be
new.
bringing,
I mean, we could do 2 events a year, and there.
I think you should. I think you should. You know, my only complaint, I thought that it was incredible. My only, not complaint, but my wish was that it was a 2-day event, so that I wanted to do so much more. You know, like I wasn't able to do some of the things I wanted to do. And part of that was I was working, but also like I wanted to be able to really enjoy and check out like the Legree Fitness and
it was a stacked day, and we definitely stacked. I think that's my biggest takeaway. We had to figure out a way to either have less, which we didn't want to do, or have more to build in more time and more space, because it was hard to do everything.
Well, and I think to your point that we've talked about before, some people go for all the physical stuff and some people go for the education and some people go because they want to talk to all of your companies. But for people who want to go and kind of like cherry pick and do a kind of pieces from all of it, it's hard. It's hard to do that.
It is, I know. We get so excited and then we like do too much.
I literally had, I have to tell you, I had in my books, I did all this prep and research, so I had written out like basically where I was going to be every minute of the day to try to maximize the day, and like to try to do yoga and Legree, and to like go to a panel I wanted to hear, and to do the tapping, and to have like a picture taken of my aura. And then literally I think I did like one thing.
I know. I know. Well, that's like best laid plans. Is like it was really it was a jam-packed day.
It was a really jam-packed day, but it was awesome. Every single thing that you brought in was amazing. If you want to check out more of it, your event is going to be our featured episode tomorrow at 3 p.m. on Biz TV Silo on Biz TV. And I'm so excited for that. And you can tell your sponsors that we're going to be on tomorrow at 3 p.m. Thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it. This was so fun. I hope you'll come back again soon for the next. You have another event coming up in May.
Oh, we do.
We'll be talking about that before you know it. Whatever you do, wherever you go, always live your best life 2.0. Have a great day, folks.